Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is a clip from episode 45 of the podcast. Please check it out. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We all appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let's just get into it. So we basically have a Twitter post by Marcin Iwiński. If I murdered that, I am going to apologize just right now. And he came out with a 5-minute video talking about how he takes responsibility as a co-founder and part of the board of members that made all the decisions to push out an unfinished product. And he put his version of an apology video. And maybe I'm just jumping into this real quick, but I just want to say that it started out as an apology and ended as a blatant turnaround to blame it on Q&A. I don't know what you guys have. Both of you guys have watched it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was him blaming QA. Like it. I mean, come on. You turn the game on one of the previous gen consoles, you would know that it wasn't working properly. So, I mean, unless their Q&A was literally sleeping on the job, but I took this apology as, I mean, it's nice to see. A lot of other companies wouldn't have said anything. They would have just kept on going or did their PR speech, which there is a little bit of PR in this for sure. But I thought it was good. He said, don't blame the developers themselves. And obviously not. They're great people for sure. I'm just happy they did it. They're acknowledging they screwed up majorly. Now we just want to see the results. Let's see some action. Let's get this shit fixed.
I don't really find it to be like throwing QA under the bus. Because you have to think about it, even a bunch of other games, they come out, they've been through months of testing, and the game comes out, and you still find problems. Like, there's no way that they can find every problem. Granted, like you're saying, there's a lot of things that were evident right from boot up, like textures popping, characters disappearing and appearing, like stuff like that really shouldn't exist. But I really don't think that you can say that, yeah, he's throwing QA under the bus, but at least it's unlike other games. Other games also haven't taken as big of a shit beating as these guys have, so it kind of makes sense that they have to come out and acknowledge something and admit some sort of a failure, but at least he did admit, if you watch the video, that he, and I'm pretty sure the board knew, but him for sure mentioned that at least they knew there were problems with the last gen, but why they still wanted to get it out doesn't make sense.
It sounded like they had a lot of hope that the zero patch was going to fix everything magically somehow. And they put all their bets on it, and it was the wrong call.
It should have just been delayed, honestly, but again, you'd never know until, if the game is out, at least you have an idea of what's wrong. But I guess they weren't expecting so much to be wrong and not being able to fix everything, and the backlash coming so fast, which, again, you're going to charge people $80 for a game. Of course, there's going to be backlash.
Bit more than they can chew.
This is the part I was looking for. Every change and improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues. This is the kind of where I'm referring, where he's starting, like, halfway through the video, the first half seems to be him taking responsibility, or him in the team, and then the second half he just starts sending blame. Not like huge, he's not straight out calling them out,
it's not huge,
but he's just saying, like, our testing did not show a big part of the issues. You gotta be shitting me. Curtis said it himself, you turn this game on and right away it's apparent. Like, the other thing too is, like, what I have to keep reminding all three of us sometimes is, like, we all played a better version than most people.
It's true.
If Curtis played the best version, me and you, Chris, played, like, I would say second or third best version, if you want to argue semantics with the Xbox Series X. And then the rest of the people who had base or even pro.
Crippled versions.
Those people, you're going into places and things aren't loading. Like, textures aren't loading for 20 seconds. More crashes than even me and you. And I think our crashes were unacceptable, personally. Not to mention what a base game guy was experiencing. just like all that kind of stuff. And he's right away going like, oh, testing didn't show it. It's him kind of coming back and be like, yeah, we made these decisions and they weren't good decisions, but we didn't know. And it's, that phrasing again where they're trying to get off easy and be like, oh, we didn't see it. We didn't see it. And it's like, you definitely did.
It all depends on your testing environment, though. Like there's no guarantee that every little bug and glitch will show every place that you are. It might depend on maybe it's pulling too many resources that the console can't handle. That's why there's graphical glitches. You might have things where maybe they're in a small area that isn't using as many resources, so you don't have those things coming up. Like you have no idea what the testing environment was, what they were trying to, what bugs they were fixing, that these other things weren't evident.
Mm-hmm. I think he was just trying to outline some reasoning as to how it fell apart. I mean, he says at the beginning it's him and it was the board's final decision. He said why that he thought it wasn't going to be an issue.
Well,
but they were wrong.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know.
Saying that he did say that, and then the second half of the video is him now coming up with his excuses why he made those decisions. And I just think I'm just calling bullshit. Whether Curtis or I am correct, I just think it doesn't matter situations or Q&A here, Q&A there. Start the game. Did it just crash in the first 30 seconds? Well, boom, there you go. You got a problem.
Yeah.
You still release the game with that. So I don't care what the situation is, how you tested it, where you tested it. The game's crashing everywhere. I think the textures aren't loading everywhere.
I think the bullshit part about it is that I think he's full of shit about the part where it's like, we knew it was going to just work. Like you knew there was freaking issues when you guys released this thing. Don't tell me that it was like, oh my God, people are sending us all these complaints. They knew it wasn't working properly. They were just hoping and praying that it would get by.
And you're right. And because they have used that terminology before, and I think that's why this irks me so much, is they have said this before. Oh, we just didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah.
How is it that you don't know? Like, your developers knew. Like, from the quotes that we've gotten, if they're true or not, I guess that's a different argument. But, like, they straight up were pissed because they told you it was not going to be ready.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if they were actually working in the office where it was easy to communicate between each other, then maybe. But having to work from home, dealing with emails that might not have been answered right away, that probably had a big reason as to why it didn't get done on time.
Oh, I'm sure it hurt it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody's patching a problem that could already be like that they already know about, but then the QA people are playing an older version still and they're running into that problem. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, communication definitely hurts, which she does talk about COVID briefly too, which obviously is affecting everybody. So
it's affecting them, but like there's still communication. Like let's not pretend that other games haven't come out in the same span.
Yeah.
Right. I just think, I don't know. It just seems really bad phrasing yet again. I feel like one of the worst situations they keep running across is their own mouth. And they just keep fumbling the message, tripping over it. And it just seems weird to me. Like I don't totally disagree with the whole COVID thing. I'm not saying that didn't make it harder. But it's just like really like you're just gonna, again, more excuses, more this. I'm like, I think for a normal game, like if we were talking about a games of a service, like let's just take Marvel's Avengers, and you have a few glitches here and there. I get, that could have been issues, but they even go as far to say is like, oh, we thought the Day Zero patch would fix this. We can actually go online, and I don't know if you guys want to, but you can find other developers that fully come out and say there's no way as a developer that a day one patch would ever fix all these problems.
No.
Like, and not even just all of them, but even like the major ones, like the crashing and the texture things, that a lot of other developers off the scene looked at that and they're like, yeah, there's no way that would have been possible. Like for them to just try to scapegoat and think, oh, we thought the Day Zero patch would have fixed it. It's like, did you, or are you just saying that again?
Yeah.
So I think that's just my problem with this whole thing. Like we don't have to go on forever about it, but my take from this is just more bullcrap, and it's more scapegoats and looking for excuses and trying to be like, yeah, like I do appreciate that he comes out in front of it and says it's me and the board. Don't blame my the developers, and I do appreciate that a lot. Like you don't see that in a lot of bad decisions made throughout any company. It's really hard to ever get anyone come out in front of it. So I do appreciate that part, but I just honestly, he should have just cut the other half of the video and just said, yeah, we screwed up and we're going to regain your trust. Done. Video done.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Word for word.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Briefly, one other thing that was shown during the video is they released kind of a roadmap for the year.
Thank you for reminding me.
Unfortunately, in the roadmap, there's no dates, but we have verbal dates that they've told us. So and the roadmap talks about the previous patches in 2020. Who cares about that? There's the patch 1.1, which they verbally told us is going to be January. He mentions in the video that there's going to be an update within the next 10 days, but it's not the big one. It's not 1.1, but that one's supposed to follow right after. There's 1.2, which is supposed to be in February, but he doesn't mention that in the video. And then the roadmap has a big mysterious block of multiple updates and improvements where they tack on a tag where it says free DLCs, and then the later in the month or later in the year, free next-gen console update, which is ridiculously looking far in the year. If I pull out a ruler and measure it, it looks like the free DLCs would be March, April, May, June, maybe May, and then the next gen, like, I don't know, October, September.
Next gen has already been confirmed to be in the second half of the year.
But that's like a big gap.
He used that terminology, but yeah, I'm with Chris. Like, if you wanted to take out a ruler, that looks a lot like October to me.
Yeah. If that's even what they're trying to go for, but honestly, that seems like a ridiculous timeline. But whatever.
Especially when you already have like the next gen version out for PCs, right? Like the PC version is the next gen version. It looks great, apparently. It's just this whole thing's just so weird, man.
So basically what they're saying with this roadmap is they should have just delayed it till next year.
Yeah, basically you summed it up.
Not made it for previous consoles, probably.
Yeah, like that
honestly,
huge
that
block
is
there.
the biggest one. Like, if they would have just stopped and like if they knew it was that, like, they were going that far with it that it needed to be next gen, then they should have just cut the crap and been like, okay, we're going to sell a few less, but at least we're not going to get sued.
Yeah, like, seriously, it would have been like, imagine if they didn't have to do the previous gen consoles. It probably would have saved them so much work, so much time. The next gen version would probably be sooner than that magical date on the schedule.
Yeah, the crunch would have been so much less.
Yeah.
It would have been a better experience for all, but I just, and that's another thing they don't touch on in the video. They don't take, responsibility for just finally, being a boss and saying like, yeah, we need to cut the fat here, like trim it up.
Yeah.
But nope, now we're going to go into the end of 2021 and this thing's still being worked on. Like Curtis said, why not just delay to that year then? So that's our thoughts. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment on the bottom of the video. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, then just head over to the YouTube channel like we talked about before and let me know what you think. Am I too hard? Is Curtis too hard? Are we all angry? I don't know. Let's move forward. Okay, so that's the whole clip. Like I said, feel free to find the podcast at any of your podcast services of choice. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks again.